If you want to build bigger, stronger shoulders using your tonal, you're in luck, because in today's version of Tonal Hacks, I'm going to show you a variation on the seated overhead press that's going to get you better pumps, better hypertrophy, and better gains in your shoulders. I'm Coach Jackson, one of the original coaches on Tonal. I've helped create some of the most popular programs on Tonal. I've also coached around 400 individual clients on Tonal. I think it's a little over 400 at this point. So I've done a lot of coaching on this. I've done a lot of working out on it. I worked at Tonal for 5 years, so it's safe to say I know a thing or two about this machine and how to optimize some of the movements. So let's dive into the seated overhead press and building bigger, bolder shoulders. So the standard version of the exercise calls for you to face the tonal, seated facing the tonal, and then simply press the handles overhead. So we're going to talk about some of the positives, but also some of the drawbacks of that version. Then I'm going to demonstrate a new version, a variation on that could be done better in order to optimize muscle growth. So this version of the exercise, you sit on a bench, a flat bench that is, so there's no stability here. I have to use my core strength and stability to balance and stabilize myself. So that's one of the downsides. I'm facing the tonal, I grab the handles, and I simply turn the weight on and press overhead. Now there's nothing wrong with this particular version of the exercise. It's not bad, it's not wrong, it's gonna help, you're gonna build strength, and you're gonna build muscle doing it. But there's a couple of drawbacks. The first drawback, as you can see, is simply the cable rub. So look at the cable rubbing up against my arm. Now the only way to avoid that is to try to pull your elbows in and really rotate your elbows in and move out of the way, in essence, of the cable. Here's the second drawback, is that it makes it a lot easier to cheat. It's very easy for me to lean back too far and now turn this basically into a chest press, right? I lean back so far, I'm now using my chest. So now I'm shifting the focus from my delts to my chest. I'm also putting a tremendous amount of stress on my lower back and my spine. So if you're somebody who sits at a desk all day or has had some back issues in the past, well, this is going to lead to further and additional back issues because you're putting so much stress on your spine. Just leaning into this position here, I could feel the pain and I could feel the pressure in my spine. No good. So it's easy to cheat. That's the second drawback of this particular version. The third drawback is that your core is often going to fatigue faster than your shoulders are. So I can't continue to brace here, but my shoulders still have a lot more gas in the tank. So I have to end the set because I can't maintain that proper pushing posture because my core is getting fatigued and tired. Another drawback of the exercise is that because of the lack of stability, not having my back up against anything, I can't press as much weight. That's going to lead to less strength and of course less muscle hypertrophy. And then the final thing is that as I get deeper and deeper into the set, especially if I start adding in a lot of volume and I start to really fatigue, you really need to narrow your isolation and your focus to just your delts. And again, worrying about keeping a nice, flat back, keeping this posture, bracing, all of these things, there's just way too much to think about to really push deep into a set and get close to, if not hitting that failure point, which I want to do ideally sometimes to really push the hypertrophy. So those are some of the drawbacks of this particular version of the exercise. It's too easy to cheat, you get the cable rub, you can't lift as much weight, you can't push as hard on the set, you can't isolate as much either. So what can we do about all that? How are we gonna maximize our shoulder gains so we can wear tank tops on the beach, Jackson? Well, I've got you covered. I'm gonna get this bench into position and I'm gonna show you the seated overhead press with incline bench, which is gonna be a far better version. Like magic, I got the bench into position. So I have an incline bench here. As you can see, it's not quite at 90 degrees, it's one notch back behind 90 degrees. That's gonna give me just a little bit of the ability to lean back just ever so slightly. I'm actually gonna take it one notch up further. There we go. So now it's in perfect position. So a couple of things you'll notice. One is that the way the bench is positioned, I'm seated just in front of the end of the arm. So now I have a couple of inches of gap, so I'm not gonna get that cable rub. So now I can press overhead without feeling that cable rubbing up against my arm. So that's one benefit. Second benefit is because I have this back now, the back of the bench here, and I could lean back against it, I don't have to stress and worry so much about bracing my core. So I'm not limited by my core strength and stability. I can really focus on isolating my delts and worrying about my delts instead of worrying about my core, my posture, my positioning, etc. So I'll be able to lift more weight. I'll be able to push deeper into a set. I'll be able to isolate my delts a lot better as well. And the other cool thing is that once you have an incline bench, you can kind of play around with the angles if you want to get more delt, or if you want to lean the bench back further and you want to get a little bit more chest involvement. So that's the other cool thing about this. Now you need to get an incline bench. That's going to be an investment. Go on Amazon, find something there, 150, 200 bucks. You'll probably be able to pick up something with great reviews. That's going to work, and it's going to vastly expand your exercise library and allow you to really extract the most juice from every exercise, get the most out of them. Now I have a Rogue bench here. This thing is like the Rolls Royce of benches. It's gonna live longer than I will. So this is an unbelievable piece of equipment, but this is on the expensive end. Now, if you love your home gym as much as I do and spend as much time in it as I do, then you might want to pick it up. Otherwise, just go on Amazon and find something that's going to be functional. And again, it's going to just vastly expand your exercise library, and it's also going to make this exercise that much better. So now that you know all the benefits of the seated overhead press with an incline bench, let me demonstrate the exercise and you can see it in action. All right, let me grab the handles. I get in a position, all the same cues. I'm gonna lean back, turn that weight on, and now I'm gonna press overhead. And now immediately, just in that first rep, I feel more stability throughout my entire body. I could feel my power is far higher. I also don't feel the cable rubbing up against my arm, and I could really focus on milking the eccentric or the negative portion of the rep because I'm not focused on and concerned about trying to brace and keep good posture and really worry about my positioning. It's also a lot harder to cheat. As you can see, I'm not rocking around with body English. I'm not swinging back and forth. I can't, it's really difficult for me to lean back any further, and I certainly can't collapse forward. So the incline bench just makes this move so much better. And again, you're gonna be able to push more weight, you're gonna be able to push deeper into a set, really getting close to, if not hitting that failure point. So this is the seated overhead press with incline bench. That's the tonal hack for today. Go out, get an incline bench, set this up, let me know how you like it. And of course, check out our other tonal hacks here on our YouTube channel. I'm Coach Jackson, and remember, action is the difference between dreaming and succeeding. See you in the next one.